Melissa, it's really nice to have you here on the podcast. I guess you have the type of job that people are curious about and people are nosy about, but I wonder if it actually gets spoken about too with litigation, with law and solicitors and everything. So tell us more about yourself and HM3.
Okay, well, thanks, Lily. Thanks very much for having me. I'm Melissa Wirth. I'm the head of commercial litigation at HM3.
Mm,
I'm a solicitor.
yes.
And litigation, commercial litigation, is about helping business clients usually to untangle disputes before they become a huge drain on resources. So
Yeah.
we try and resolve and manage commercial disputes for clients
Mm,
the most cost-effective way possible.
yeah. Yes. I mean, tell me more already about the most cost-effective way possible, and also just disputes, because I've found in my experience that people will say, I tend to say conflict rather than disputes, but I already wonder if we mean the same thing. So, I mean, tell me more about what you mean by disputes. What does this
Yeah.
mean?
So a dispute is usually when a falling out's got to a point that it's having a detrimental impact, and in the commercial context on the business relationship. But of course, I appreciate that disputes don't always happen just in a commercial context.
Mm,
But dealing with business clients, it's when there is a conflict, there's a
yeah.
falling out, when things aren't working and gelling quite right, and it's
Mm,
having a detrimental impact on the business.
yeah.
There's some sort of friction, and it kind of stops the business from progressing in the way
Yeah.
that the my client would like it to.
Yeah. Yes, definitely. Have you found that when your clients come to you, that they are coming to you as the last resort? Like, does that tend to happen? You can tell that they're already unhappy and they would totally rather not be there.
Absolutely. I think there's a real reluctance to get solicitors involved. I think
Yeah.
that's for a number of reasons. I think one, it sounds very serious, doesn't it? Getting your solicitors
Yeah.
involved. It's
Yeah.
sometimes appreciation that something's happened and there's no return.
Yeah.
And often as well,
Yeah.
people are reluctant to get solicitors involved. I
Yeah.
don't think as a profession we always have the best
Mm.
reputation.
Mm.
People will say things about lawyers being very expensive, and,
Yeah.
and yes, it can be, but if advice is given in the right way, then the client
Yeah.
will feel in control of
Yes.
how their money is being spent.
Yes.
But yeah, I think some of the frustration from my point of view is that clients perhaps come to me too late. Maybe they've tried to resolve things themselves and perhaps have
Mm.
inadvertently
Yeah.
jeopardized or compromised their position.
Yeah.
So I'm a
Yeah.
real champion of clients getting early
Mm.
advice
Mm.
because
Mm.
sometimes you can nip things in the bud
Yeah.
before they escalate out of control.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I really appreciate that because I think that there are definitely similarities between your kinds of clients and my clients and how we feel about them when they come. Because it's not always the case that for me, people have got to that point that they're very, very unhappy. It's not always because it does happen that I'll get proactive clients and we can nip it in the bud. Um, but I totally hear what you say about getting it early is the best place. Like, oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and just because you speak to a professional and seek help from a professional doesn't mean to say that you have to necessarily move forward. And
yeah,
if you speak to the right professional, they will,
yeah.
there's no obligation to take things forward. You have to move at a pace that's right for you.
Yeah, yes. I mean, tell me more about the process because I feel that I would be that person that would have thought that to go to a solicitor, exactly like you say before, it is kind of final stages and now you're locked in. I even have, I won't share them. I've got personal experiences of working with solicitors kind of in housing to buy property essentially.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
it was like, okay, you're locked in now and there's no way out. And even fees get bumped up last minute. It's all sorts because you're trapped. So tell me more about the process.
Well, first of all, I'm sorry about that experience that you've had of
Mm,
feeling trapped.
yeah.
Yeah, so with litigation,
Mm,
usually people think of litigation, they think of the court system, and that's absolutely right.
mm,
We are using, if really, the threat of court action to try and manage a dispute. So If, for instance, someone's unhappy that a contract's been breached, let's keep it simple. Someone owes you money and they're refusing to pay,
Yeah.
and you can shout about it as much as you want,
Mm.
but the only way of forcing them to pay really, apart from perhaps getting heavy with them, which I'm not
Yeah.
endorsing in any way,
Sure.
is
Mm.
to instruct a solicitor or use the court process to
Yeah.
go off in front of a judge and
Yeah.
get a piece of paper, a judgment that
Yeah.
says that money must be paid within a set time frame.
Yeah.
So we use the threat of going to court to put
Mm.
pressure on people
Mm.
to think
Mm.
differently, perhaps about where they are, and to see
Yeah.
if they can think of a different way of
Yeah.
compromising ultimately.
Yeah.
The reason why I keep using the threat of court proceedings is that really we do try to keep clients
Yeah.
out of court.
Yeah.
Once you start the court process formally,
Yeah.
by what we say is issuing court proceedings. So starting court proceedings, you pay your fee to the court
Mm.
and
Mm.
things have started. It
Yeah.
is difficult to get out of that,
Yeah.
and it can be costly.
Yeah.
So as a litigation lawyer, as a commercial disputes resolution lawyer,
Mm.
it's
Mm.
my aim to try and see if we can resolve a dispute
Yeah.
before we have to use the court.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, totally. Because as you say, I mean, to go to court, I mean, I'm very fortunate. I've had no experience of this, but it sounds like an absolute nightmare, in fact. And I actually remember in a previous time when you and I were chatting, I remember you rightly said to me, well, not everybody feels that way. Like some people get a kick out of it. Like,
People love it. Some people love it, and I have clients that they feel that they're okay with the risk of going to court, and they just want to go for it and get it
mm,
done. And then that's a
okay.
great client to have because
Yeah.
actually, from an academic sort of legal
Mm,
advisor, geeky, like a lawyer geek,
yeah.
I
Yeah.
enjoy going to court. But for
Yeah.
most people, going to
Mm,
court, it means spending a lot of money. So,
yeah.
for example, if your dispute is £100,000, you're going to have to pay £10,000 court fee just to
Mm,
get the process at court started. And
yeah.
that's even before you've looked at
Mm,
um, solicitors' costs.
yeah.
If
Yeah.
it's a case about perhaps,
Mm,
I don't know, a case where an
mm,
expert's needed, maybe it's a dispute about property and you
mm,
need advice from,
yeah.
or expert evidence, as we call it, from a
Yeah.
surveyor, for example, you're
Yeah.
going to have to pay for experts.
Yeah. Yeah.
You might need help quantifying your losses, so assessing the extent of your losses. You might have to pay for
Mm,
a forensic accountant, perhaps, to help with that.
yeah. Yeah.
There's lots of different court hearings. So not only will you pay for the solicitors to do the day-to-day management,
Yeah.
usually we instruct barristers to deal with the court hearings and the trial. That's another expense.
Yeah.
But the real sort of killer, if you like, is that if you go to court and
Mm,
you lose, you're not only responsible for your own costs to that point, you're responsible for the other party's costs as well. So let's say you spent, I don't know, £50,000 going to court
yeah.
and you lose the case, you're going
Yeah.
to have to pay your opponent's costs, which could be in a similar region, £50,000.
Mm,
Um,
mm.
yeah, so it's
Oh,
expensive. There's a lot of risk. We
yeah.
like to keep our clients out of it.
Yeah. 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 Totally. Even though the threat, I mean, boy, is that threat, it's effective because that, like, here are the long list of reasons why it's painful and risky. So I could see how the threat is actually a little weapon in and of itself. Um,
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've got a strong case, and
mm,
you've been told by your lawyer that you've got, I don't know,
mm,
60% prospects of more of winning it,
mm,
and the other party won't budge,
yeah,
sometimes we do have to issue court
yeah,
proceedings to get the other party's attention.
yeah,
But only after the client's been advised of all the cost risk and we
okay,
can map things out carefully,
yeah,
and look at the worst case scenario, look
yeah,
at the best possible case so the client feels fully prepared.
yeah, yes. Well, tell me more about this because I am curious about the way that the process happens because of course my clients who are couples and families in business together, they will query to me about taking that route, particularly when I put on my mediator's hat. about what does this look like? And I wonder your thoughts about it being made public, to what extent it's made public, because very understandably, if you've got a family, and particularly there's staff involved, and there's money and there's reputation and legacy involved, they would want to keep it as private as possible. So how does this come into it?
Yeah. So there's 2 points, sort of just coming off what you've just said. And
Mm,
obviously, the point about keeping things private, which is really important, and that's a key
mm,
consideration for clients.
yeah.
But also the process, what's involved. I think that the
Mm,
first step of the process
yeah.
is for an individual, a business, whether that's a business or a
Yeah.
private person, so a human being,
Mm,
is to understand their legal rights,
yeah.
and
Okay.
understand,
Yeah.
if there's been a dispute,
Yeah.
is it who's right and who's wrong essentially, and
Yeah.
then from then on in you can
Mm,
decide what steps to
mm,
take next, and that's really important to
mm,
get that proper assessment of your case.
yeah. Yeah.
In terms of the process, once we've
Mm,
assessed the client's case, there'll be correspondence that passes. If you're
mm,
acting for the claimant, a letter before claim or a letter before action will be sent, and then the other party will have the opportunity to respond.
mm,
And
yeah.
then the idea really is to see if there's any scope
Mm,
for finding any common ground,
yeah.
or exploring the appetite
Mm,
for sitting down and having a discussion.
yeah. Yeah.
And you'll know as a mediator that if
Mm,
they sit down and have a discussion, one of the great ways of doing that is
mm,
through mediation, which is
yeah.
completely confidential.
Yeah.
What's discussed at a mediation cannot be used later on in court proceedings if a dispute isn't resolved at the mediation.
Yeah.
So it's a fantastic tool. And
Yeah.
even if a case isn't
Mm,
resolved, even if a dispute isn't resolved, I
mm,
still think it's very useful because as a lawyer, you get to understand the other side's case. You get to
mm,
understand the people that are involved because you'll meet them.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
also for the client, they'll understand better the
Yeah.
risks that can be identified in their case and how they could play out as the matter
Yeah.
progresses.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the key thing here, you're absolutely right,
Mm,
confidentiality is a
mm,
huge driver.
yeah.
If
Yeah.
a case is issued at court, the justice system in England and Wales, it's a key part of the justice system that
Mm,
it's dealt with in public. So
yeah.
that's why when we
Brutal.
read the newspapers, we read about disputes that
Mm,
different commercial entities are having.
yeah.
And if you want to keep it quiet and you don't want your competitors to know,
Yeah.
then the last thing you want is to go all the way to court and go to trial and
Yeah.
have a journalist reporting on it.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. I mean, a part of me now feels like, oi, I mean, just what a pain for everybody involved. It strikes me as to have things be made so public. And maybe that's myself being somebody who's trained in every way in which I'm trained is confidentiality is so key. So then to go through the motions and then get to court and it's like a U-turn, like everything is made so brutally public. Oh, I mean,
Yeah, well, of course, everything that's discussed between a client and a solicitor won't
mm,
ever be made public. But
public.
the
Yeah.
fact that the dispute is in place,
Mm, yeah.
is in the public domain,
Yeah.
and what each party thinks about that dispute, like why the claimant is claiming it and
Yeah.
why the defendant is defending it,
Yeah.
is in the public domain. And also, when a judge makes a judgment, the reasons why someone's lost
Mm,
is in the public domain, which is great for us to learn about the law and to understand the law, how it works in practice. And we
mm,
can use those precedents when we're advising our clients at the first stage and say, look, this case is very similar.
yeah.
You might want to think again about rushing to court.
Mm,
Let's see if we can
yeah.
try and find an alternative way to resolve this dispute, either
Yeah.
through mediation,
Yeah.
negotiation, or some other means.
Yeah. Yeah. Got you. I could see how it being made public, there's benefits of that. Because I guess, as you say, like there's almost case studies. They're endless for to lean on. It actually makes me think now of all of the drawbacks of therapy and coaching and mediation being so private that people don't know what they're going to get into or even what ethical good therapy or mediation looks like because it's drenched in confidentiality. So,
Yeah,
opposite
yeah, that's
scenario.
interesting. I hadn't thought of it like that, but yeah, that's an interesting
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes, definitely. I think we don't have to talk about it too much right now, but certainly the fact that some interventions, as I say, like coaching and therapy and mediation, which is of course close to my heart, being trained and qualified in all three, the fact that there's so much confidentiality is a great thing because it means that people progress. And like we say, that's the place where in mediation people will get to speak and meet and go through things. But it is also the space where like the unethical, improper work gets done because people go and they go behind a door, shut it, and do stuff privately. So there's risks there, the drawbacks of confidentiality.
Yeah,
Um,
interesting point. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, yes. You mentioned about that two-stage process, that at the very beginning, you will meet your client and give them advice and see where they're at. I wonder to what extent is advice, and let me know if advice is the right word here, is is completely tailor-made? Is it not? Because we're dealing with the law and it's black and white. How does that look?
Yeah, in my eyes, it's completely tailor-made because all our
Mm,
brains work differently. So the way that people digest information is different.
yeah.
Some of my clients like very detailed reports,
Yeah.
and they want me to explore in as much detail as
Mm,
possible every
mm,
single possible pro and con.
yeah,
Some clients like I haven't got time for that. We just
yeah,
want big picture stuff. Send me some
mm,
bullet points.
yeah, yeah,
So and you get to know as you work with a client, you get to
yeah,
know and understand what their preferences are.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, and also no, there's the same areas of law will crop up, but the facts are always different in every dispute. So there's always going to
yeah,
be
mm,
points to think about in a new case,
mm,
which you haven't had to discuss with a previous client. And that, for me personally, that's why I enjoy this job so much because there's always something new to learn,
mm,
and a new way of presenting information as well. So that really excites me as a lawyer.
yeah,
Um, but
yeah,
yeah, so it's absolutely tailor-made, I would say.
tailor-made. Got yeah. And not only the way in which you present information, that different learning types or personality types want it written and given in a certain way. Not only this, but also the legal kind of the situation will be to them, I suppose. I suppose as I say
Exactly.
it,
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
yeah.
Obviously, we're very highly regulated as solicitors, and there's certain things that we have to advise our clients about.
Oh,
And some of that
yes.
is quite long-winded, the information we have to give. And I
Yeah.
always apologize to clients. I'm really sorry about the length of this email, but my, it's important that you understand this information.
Yeah.
But the fact, I've provided it in writing, we can still discuss it and explore how it is
Mm,
how it's more important
mm,
and best tailored to them and their preferences.
yeah. Yes. No, definitely. Because as you say, there's lots of stuff that you have to go through, and it's very regulated. Um, I wonder if law and giving advice is similar to, say, a financial advisor, where advice cannot be made public. It's not in the public domain, and it needs to be given in a very specific channel. Is law the same? So are you able to give somebody legal advice, quote unquote, who is not your client and it's contracted for? How does the regulations work in this sense?
Yeah, so it's better for us. Well, on my day to day, I give legal advice to my client, and I've got a contract. We call it a retainer. I've got a contract in place with my client, and that contract will explain the scope of what I'm doing and what I'm not doing. And that's very important for the solicitor client relationship,
Yeah,
so that everyone understands what it is I'm advising on and what the client's expectations are from the result of that advice, if you like, as well.
yeah, yeah,
And we have to be very clear about that. I think it's very important.
yeah,
So, for instance, if I'm talking to a client about a contract dispute with person
mm,
A and they have another dispute with person C, I won't just tag that on to that advice. I would
Yeah.
do a separate contract for that
Okay.
advice.
Okay.
So we can have clarity of scope and the
Mm,
information that's going to be passing.
mm, mm.
But solicitors, there was a case relatively recently of a solicitor who gave some advice to their next door neighbour, on quite
Yeah.
so probably an informal basis.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it turned out that advice was wrong, and the solicitor did actually get sued for negligence because of that. So I always say when I'm having a preliminary chat with
Yeah.
someone, this isn't tailored legal advice. It can't be tailored legal
Yeah.
advice only
Yeah.
if you are my client and I've had the opportunity to get to know you,
Yeah.
really got in depth and into the detail of the problem. Can
Yeah.
I advise you properly?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Completely.
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. Because while it sounds as though it is not like against regulations to give that kind of soft piece of advice or that word literally over the garden fence. However, I guess it goes back to the nature of advice. Like how can you give it unless you know exactly who you're talking to in their situation? Um,
Yeah, and I'm sure, sometimes, most people get into this profession because they want to help people. So it's that kind of
mm,
feeling of wanting to help, but
yeah,
it's better for everyone if we do it in a very structured,
yeah, yeah,
formal way through the firm,
yeah,
and then you can understand exactly what it is
yeah,
that you're getting.
yeah. Oh, totally. Yes. But in this case, I mean, talk to me about AI, because I mean, it's gonna come up. It always comes up. And maybe already we speak about it, how it is a tailor-made human to human service that you provide. But what are your thoughts about AI? And I wonder if there is a place for it or not, because people are talking to ChatGPT if we like it or not. So what's your thoughts about this?
Yeah, excuse me. I see it as a good research assistant, but perhaps on the level of a work experience student. So
Uh-huh.
maybe they can do a little bit of work, gather some information that could be relevant to the topic,
Mm,
but then you've got to spend a
yeah,
lot of careful consideration, careful time
yeah,
making sure that it's correct.
yeah, yeah,
So I would treat it as a work experience student. Absolutely fantastic
yeah.
for doing some research and gathering information, and it's so quick, isn't it?
Yeah,
But we
yeah,
know that it hallucinates. We know it gets information wrong. Yeah, my concern about AI is that sometimes it can cause unnecessary distress and upset because the information it's provided isn't
mm,
quite right.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
or a client has started to think of risks that actually I don't think they need to worry about
mm,
because the
yeah,
AI is perhaps, it can't understand the information the same way as a human can.
yeah,
So as a research tool, fine, it needs to be
mm,
checked carefully, but I
mm,
don't think you should rely on AI instead of seeking proper tailored
yeah,
legal advice.
yeah,
And then there's coming back to the human element, as you say,
mm,
um, you know, I have a great relationship with my clients, but I
mm,
might not be the lawyer for everyone. It depends on your
yeah,
personality.
yeah,
You want to
sure,
get on with your clients and work well with them. So
mm,
it is a people
mm,
business.
yeah,
You're not just buying the law from me, you're buying me as a person as well, I guess, and my
yeah,
way of how I work with you,
yeah,
how we collaborate together as a team,
yeah,
because we do work as a team,
yeah,
clients and solicitors.
yeah,
So I don't think AI can ever replace that human element of the solicitor-client relationship.
yeah, yeah. Oh, completely. I mean, I could not agree more with everything that you say about when it comes to AI and how like to be replaced by a human being, like, it's nonsense, I feel. And as you say, like we have this in common with our work that it's so bespoke, so tailor-made, it's so human to human, and that is exactly the point of it in that's what we give our clients. Like it cannot be replaced. Um,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
oftentimes it sounds exactly like you. I mean, I'm a big fan of ChatGPT for my own research, and I mean, of course, my clients use it, and sometimes it's great stuff, and it's a great point. It's almost like as a learning tool, just to speed up the process to gather that information. And sometimes it's the scary stuff that comes out. So I can really appreciate what you say about that it will do some scaremongering. And I've had clients that I need to kind of calm down that
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
it's okay. Um, yeah, no, exactly. Um, a question that I feel like people will care about, of course, and for myself too, I want to know the story about Melissa personally and how you got into law. How did all this come about for you?
Yeah, I was always had sort of a strong sense of justice really as a kid, and I think when I was thinking about becoming a lawyer, I didn't really understand about lawyers working in the commercial setting and working in business. So I
Mm,
was thinking about, maybe criminal law, like people needing help from a lawyer if they're
yeah,
under investigation, or
yeah,
maybe someone maybe needing their employment rights or
mm,
family disputes. Those are sort of the areas of law that I understood. And
yeah,
when I was at university studying law, and a lot of commercial law firms would come to the university for the careers fair. And I
mm,
started to learn more about how, it's involved in business and how, if you work in an international law firm, there's huge
yeah,
jurisdictional issues.
yeah,
And it
mm,
honestly just sounded really exciting
mm,
to be a commercial lawyer.
mm.
So then that's what I ended up doing really.
Okay,
Um,
okay,
I do love helping people though.
mm,
And even with commercial clients, there is a lot of reassurance and counselling
yeah,
involved in what we do.
yeah,
So I suppose there's some crossover there in our careers
yeah,
because just as you're there to support
mm,
your clients and you
mm,
get to know them
yeah,
from a personal level, so do we as well.
yeah, yeah.
So to try and take the stress out of litigation.
Yeah, yeah. No, completely. I think there's so many crossovers. We're probably competitors. Like, we probably shouldn't even be having this conversation. Because yeah, there's like so many crossovers. You know, I love it what you say about the human side of the commercial elements. Um, it's one thing that I love about business that actually like there's I feel business can be the vehicle to look at anything. Like everything is applicable and relevant to a business and then I mean add a family dynamic, add a family and I there's nothing niche about my work or probably about yours, even though we probably get told it's very niche. So like
No, no, you definitely family businesses. I mean, when there is a falling out, that is particularly tough, isn't it? I mean, any sort of dispute
yeah,
is tough to deal with, but when there's a family dynamic there as well,
yeah,
it is definitely a difficult thing to navigate, and that's
yeah,
why there's a lot of talk about, are you an aggressive litigator, and will you
yeah,
show your teeth? Of course, you know we do and we can, but we
yeah,
do just need to take clients, I personally think, let them have a step back and just think of the bigger picture.
yeah,
And if you go ahead and you bring this claim, you raise those allegations, and
yeah,
it's in the context of family business,
yeah.
and that could be really a much wider implications than just two
Yeah,
commercial competitors falling out.
yeah, yeah, indeed. I think you say it, you word it really well about families and businesses combining
Hmm.
because I get asked all the time. In fact, I was networking, as you know, this morning, and somebody asked me, even there, like, do I work with businesses that are not family owned and why family businesses? And I say it's because it's a completely different world. And when you work with people that you love or who you're related to, because it's not always the case that my clients love each other, quote unquote, but to fall out the stakes are so much higher,
Hmm.
and there are huge ramifications.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, indeed. Yeah, yeah.
yes.
But so rewarding when you help someone through that as well.
Yeah, 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 completely. And I'm sure you see it too with family businesses. 'Cause I have had clients, some of the best feedback that I've ever had is that people are no longer pursuing a breakup or a divorce from working with me. And people's parents get to stay together. And I think there's little that's more rewarding, really.
Yeah, yeah. So that's because they're taking a step back. They've looked at the bigger picture.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and
indeed.
that's why it's important. Obviously, there's time limits and deadlines with law and bringing court proceedings. But
Mm,
I just think it's always important to take a breath, to take a pause,
mm,
and take a step back and look at the bigger picture.
yeah, bigger picture. Yeah. What a great takeaway is something to help in order to step back, or taking a step back helps, you know, and I feel that people are there to help. People like you and I who are so personable, because I think it's one thing that, you know, you and I have spoken about before, but HM3 being a real people focused law firm, because I mean, you know better than anyone that it is, that's a USP. Like, not all law firms will position themselves in that way. So
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, we really get to know our clients,
yeah.
and it is a people-led business.
Mm,
We are all very down to earth,
yeah,
and we want to really partnership with
yeah,
our clients as
yeah.
well. So there's a client that I spoke to of HM3, and it's the first time I've been in touch with them, and it felt like almost like part of an extended family. He'd been
Mm,
working with the business for so long.
mm,
And the feedback he gave, he was really invested. I just thought that's come from having such a personable
yeah,
relationship. It was just really nice to see.
yeah, 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 completely. It sounds it. And I guess in a world of AI, it's coming more and more. Um, yes, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
Yes, yes. But last question from me is, where can people find more about yourself and HM3 when the time is right for them to potentially reach out? How can people be in touch?
Yeah. So the best place to look, find out more information about HM3 is our website.
Okay,
There are many different search engines available, but if you
okay,
Google HM3, we'll come
okay,
up there. You can find out all about us.
great.
And I think you really see our personality come through on that website.
Mm,
For me, I'm always on LinkedIn. So you can find me at Melissa Wirth Solicitor. And I am really interested in the law from a geeky point of view. So I do have my own blog site,
mm.
and that's the disputeadvisor.co.uk.
Perfect. Great stuff. Great to know. I'll put all the links down below anyway. Um, but Melissa, it's been really, really wonderful to have you on the podcast. And thank you so much for coming on and joining us. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. It's been great.